Kevin Kamps is the nuclear waste watchdog at beyondnuclear.org. Kevin, welcome back to our program.
Hi, Tom.
Great to have you with us. Before we get to San Onofre, please tell me, the last time we talked, you were telling us the tuna that we're starting to catch off the coast of California, or off the coast, the west coast of the United States and Mexico, is contaminated with radioactive cesium. What is the situation right now with our food supply, with our seafood supply?
Well, that's anybody's guess because the U.S. federal government is not doing its job. It's not checking it carefully. So, a lot of concerned citizens have now taken matters into their own hands. They're purchasing the necessary equipment to check their food. That's happening in Japan. It needs to happen in the U.S.
Is there any kind of organized group in the United States that is? I mean, like I bought a Geiger counter a couple of months ago. If there was a group that I could hook into, I would say, okay, I'll test things, or I'll walk through the supermarket once a week. Is there anything, or are you guys trying to put something like that together?
Yeah, actually, Cindy Folkers at our organization, who is our radiation and health expert, is talking with folks mostly on the West Coast, but really this should be happening other places. So Cindy's our point person on that issue. Okay, good. So people can learn about that over at beyondnuclear.org. So there's this nuclear power plant at San Onofre. Am I pronouncing that right? Yeah, San Onofre. Okay, so tell me the story. Well, January 31st, and, you got the scoop. You had me on your show that night about this. The San Onofre unit number 3 sprung a leak in a steam generator tube, and that is always very significant because if you were to fail enough tubes, you could have a loss of coolant accident in the reactor core. Fortunately, they only failed one tube, but it was the beginning of a long story. When they investigated the state of the tubes, there was significant degradation of these tubes, and these tubes in Unit 2 and Unit 3 have only been in service for about a year or two. These are brand new replacement steam generators purchased from Mitsubishi Heavy Industries in Japan at a cost of $670 million, and they're failing a year or two into their service life. They're supposed to last for 30 years. So why are they failing? It turns out, and this just happened last night, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission held a public, it's called an augmented inspection team exit meeting. They were talking to Southern California Edison, but the public can sit in the room and then ask NRC questions afterwards. Turns out that Mitsubishi Heavy Industries' computer modeling was completely out of whack, and the steam generators were designed wrong to begin with. So the computer model estimated a certain flow rate for the steam through these steam generator tubes. It was about a fourth of the actual value. So the tubes have suffered significant vibration. They've rubbed against each other and against surrounding support structures, and they've been highly degraded. And actually, Friends of the Earth hired Arnie Gunderson of Fairwind Associates. They called this out months ago. They identified the problem, I think it was back in March. Before the NRC had identified it? Long before. And the NRC, plays a lot of games. They try to keep things hidden for as long as possible, and they're just under too much of a spotlight. Right. So the NRC is making some pretty remarkable admissions. Last night they admitted that they've never seen anything like this before. There may be fines against Southern California Edison. A big question is, are they going to have to replace these things if they want to keep operating this plant? And that would be putting the price tag over $1 billion to try to get this right, and it's the ratepayers paying that. So I'm assuming that Southern California Edison is coming forward and saying, we're not crazy. We're not going to restart this nuclear plant with steam turbines that if they fail could cause a meltdown of the core and are failing at the rate of one tube a year. We're not crazy. We're not going to do this. We're going to replace them first. They must be saying that, right? Not at all. What they're saying is they want to run these things at about half power. They think that if they do that the vibration will be decreased, and unfortunately the NRC is going along saying, yeah, that might work. So, Friends of the Earth and all the grassroots groups are like, no way, this would be a giant nuclear experiment. Isn't half power twice what they were designed for? I'm sorry? You said that they were running 4 times as much steam through them as they're designed for. So if they're running half power, are they running twice as much steam as they're designed for? Well, when I said 4 times the steam was flowing through there as the computer model predicted, that's because of the bad design of these steam generators. The reactors themselves, they're both about 1,000 megawatts electric, and I'd have to check, I don't know off the top of my head, but most reactors in the U.S. get these rubber stamp power uprates, they're called, where they actually run the reactors hotter and harder than they were ever designed for. So I don't know if that's the case at San Onofre, but the problem is the configuration of these steam generator tubes. They're just pumping way too much steam over these very thin-walled tubes.
Yeah. So how's this going to shake out, Kevin?
This is, there's a growing list of reactors in this country that are very vulnerable to permanent shutdown. You've got San Onofre Units 2 and 3. You've got Fort Calhoun, Nebraska. That's been shut down for 14 months after the historic floods on the Missouri. You've got Vermont Yankee with the state government and the people of Vermont adamantly opposed to its operation. So what's happening is just this rebellion against nuclear power in the U.S., and the grassroots are on it, and they're trying to keep these things shut down before they melt down.
Right, but they try to do that in Japan, too, and the Japanese government just fired up a nuclear power plant, day before yesterday?
Yeah, well, it just shows how powerful the nuclear power industry is in Japan, both politically and economically, where they just tell the prime minister what to do and he does. But hopefully there's going to be some popular backlash. I mean, the only reason that all 50 operable reactors in Japan have been shut down for weeks and months is that the people made it so, the grassroots pressure on governors of prefectures. So, for example, the OE reactors near Osaka City, the mayor of Osaka is anti-nuclear. He's very concerned about the safety implications of this restart. So there are politicians with ambition who happen to be anti-nuclear, and this may cost the current prime minister in Japan.
That's interesting. What's the state? I know building number 4, the last we heard, building number 4 of Fukushima has in its ceiling all this radioactive material and its listing. Is that still going on?
Yes, yeah, we're just, holding our breath against the 7.0 that could just knock the whole thing down, and that waste would be on fire within an hour or two. And that would be a catastrophe bigger than what's happened already.
And bigger than Chernobyl.
Yeah, by about tenfold.
Tenfold, wow. Kevin Kamps, beyondnuclear.org.